Well, this is Neeley along with my good friend Chris Aiken. We're doing another in-studio broadcast of CMS TV, and it is our pleasure, Chris, to bring to the video as well as to the mic our good friend, vocalist extraordinaire, Leather Leone. Welcome back to the Classic Metal Show, Leather. You have a place here on the CMS. You are like on the board of directors here.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've spoke with you publicly, although we always speak. I appreciate it. I love you guys. I love the support. And excuse me if I act a little weird. I'm going through like a vertigo thing right now, so I'm a little more dizzy than usual.
So what's it called? Is it Jack Daniels or what?
No, it's called inner ear problems. No, it's do you know what vertigo is, dude?
Yeah, I do. My dad has it.
Oh yeah, I get these. Thank God I'm never on the road when it happens. But anyway, my point is, if I'm like this, it's not Jack Daniels, it's vertigo.
Well, you're supposed to put it in your mouth, not in your ear hole.
I know, right?
Nice.
Can I have that when you're done?
My life, sure. This is all I do in the studio. Last time I was in the studio with Chastain, actually, I ate so many blow pops because I like the saliva. All these people like Mariah Carey that are like,
can you say that really slow? Blow pop.
Blow pops for all the saliva.
Well, as guys,
I totally fucked up my mouth. My dentist was like, "What the fuck?"
Did you say fucked up your? Can you say that slowly too? Fucked up my mouth.
You're so bad. Nothing ever changes with you, Dad.
I was going to say, I'm stuck on the saliva part myself.
Blow pop, fucked up my mouth.
You guys are funny because my band, they're all in their 30s, so I get to relive the misdirected sexual interest of boys. I mean, if I said saliva or blow pop in front of them, it would be the same thing.
Well, I got half a stock going on right now.
You're easy, dude.
I am easy. Come get me.
Very nice. Well, Leather, talk about what you've been up to. It's not like you've been sitting home waiting for this interview. You've been quite the busy lady.
Well, I have been blessed, although, like I told you before, I had a couple U.S. tours that fell through. So it was a little heartbreaking. I kind of sat around for a year. The record came out in, 18? Mm-hmm. It did as well as it could. But anyway, I recently went out with Raven. I did South America with Raven, which was fucking awesome. It was really great. And I'm going to go to Europe, I think, in 5 weeks. It doesn't move fast enough for me. But again, I'm like at the bottom of the totem pole again. People want me, all the big people want me with Chastain. All the Sweden Rocks, all the Vocalists are like, yeah, call me when Dave's around. So I'm kind of starting at the beginning, but I just want to play. I will play 300-400 seaters. I don't care. I want to play. The record's good. The response is good.
Well, why? And, I on one level, I guess I get it. I guess, I understand that, Chastain is the name and he's the quote unquote you see and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, if you put 100 hardcore metalheads in a room and threw pictures of 20 guys up and said, which one of these is Dave Chastain, I bet you none of them could pick him. I don't know that I could pick him out.
I know what you're saying. I think it's a protection that they all have. And just sort of saying that there's one Doro. And I think she's like the acceptance that's been carried over. Yeah. And by the way, I love her.
Sure.
And I've been gone for a long time. I forget. I've been gone a long time. And all of a sudden in 2011, I'm like, okay, here I am. People are like, so the fuck what, So, and like I said, the record was really well received, although I didn't put it on a major, but it's a fight and it's okay.
Can't you get one of these guys from South America to give themselves a new last name of Chastain, like Pablo Chastain or something? That'd work.
No, and I want to move away from that so much. I just had a conversation with Chastain about it. I'm just trying to move along.
Right.
It's going well for trying to move along. I mean, it's tough. And come on, dude. There's so many people. I mean, I do a kind of metal. It's Cookie Monster or it's the boys from like Asking Alexandra. I mean, it's all, there's no in between. So I'm not sure if there's a market for it much right now.
Yeah, well, it's a kick-ass record. I will say that.
Thank you.
That song Juggernaut, that is like every single day. I do yoga in the morning, which you can't tell, but no, but once I finish that, when I'm ready to crawl back in bed and just die because my back's hurting and everything else, I generally will throw on Juggernaut. It's in my awesome, after workout mix to get me fucking going again. So
that's so great. And as you can tell, that's a total nut Chastain. I said to these guys, no backgrounds, no harmonies, no doubling, no motherfucking shit. I'm going to sing in a studio and you're going to hear me pop. You're going to hear me. Yeah, I wanted to do it really raw. I'm really proud of it.
Well, it's definitely a great record, and you sound great on it, as you sound like you sound, which is
of course. Which my balls have dropped a little bit. My balls, which I always wanted to sing in these keys when I was younger, but I could only be and actually Varney, I give Varney that credit. Varney was like, Jesus Christ, your balls finally dropped. I really like it. I'm glad you like it. I love it. I love it. I'm already working on another one.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll probably just call it 3. I'm not very innovative.
Very nice. Well, Leather, we decided to bring you on as a vocalist because you, of all people, certainly are a huge fan, not only of metal, but specifically of metal singers. And I think that's probably, as a metal singer, you've probably paid attention to what a lot of these guys do to kind of steal this and that to make your own sound. So we thought, we thought what we would do is talk about, who we think, are our top 3, 4, 5 metal singers of all time, and just kind of maybe tell some stories if we've met them or see where we sink.
Well, who's number 1 for me.
Well, and he's number 1 for me too. So,
and the other person in the house is who's number 1 for you.
I don't know who his is. You want to start with Neeley? We'll start with Neeley.
Who's your number 1?
Who's my number 1 top? Yeah. Are we talking hard rock, metal, or what?
Yes.
I know that is very different because a lot of the lines are crossed. How about overall singer?
Overall singer. Best overall singer.
Of course, we like harder rock, so it will be in the hard rock metal genre.
Sure. Boy, that is a tough one because before this discussion took place, I was going through my mind as far as great singers or overall singers or favorite singers or people that I like to listen to, and so many come to mind as far as the hard rock metal genre goes. Yeah. And I would probably have to put, if we want to start at number 1, I would have to go with like Rob Halford.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh. Of course, understandable. Of course, mine is Ronnie. Fuck forever, 1 through 25. I actually read something about Halford recently. Not a huge fan, totally appreciative of him. Met him 100 years ago. Love the guy. But he said that when he was young, couldn't figure out why metal and opera couldn't mix. I was like, holy fuck, that's what he did think. So that's where his whole sound came from. And he's like the metal Pavarotti, right?
He is. Yeah, absolutely. And, there's just so many that, I tried to limit it down to 5 or 6 that we'll get to during this conversation.
Sure. Yeah. And he can still do it. He still hits those. He still hits that.
Yeah, depending on what show you catch.
Well, yeah. But still, I mean, he's still doing it. And I got to tell you, as a singer, when we age, I've never been like a big note singer. I've never been this big, grandioso thing. So for me, it's been a bit easier. But people start dropping stuff. I mean, it really pisses me off, but it's natural. Your voice changes,
Well, and one thing, and I'm curious for you, and Halford is guilty of this to the point that Neeley and I both asked him about it at one point.
What?
One of the things that makes the difference, and I mean, I've watched a ton of YouTube of you, and you're very energetic on stage. You're jumping around, you're running around the stage, and yet you still have the voice going through the whole set. So you're either running 100 miles a day or 100 miles an hour every day. That keeps you.
Soul Cycle.
Right. Well, but the difference is with Halford, sometimes with Halford, and admittedly, he's older now, but, sometimes he'll wear that big 35, 40-pound coat out on stage when he's doing metal, whatever. And then by the 5th or 6th song, he's done. And he drops because...
Well, how old is he?
God, he's got to be 66, 68, somewhere in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's like 68.
Yeah.
Looking him up. Right?
He does wear all that heavy fucking leather shit. Yeah, God bless him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 67 years old.
Oh, am I going to live that long?
In fact, his birthday is in a month. He turns 68.
Yeah.
So I was right. He's about 68.
Yeah. But and, again, and there was only one Halford. Once Halford came out, I didn't need to hear anybody else do it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's just the way it goes. I mean, I'm sorry. What's your number one? Halford for you. What's yours?
Mine is Dio. Mine is. I've told the story before on the show. I'll tell you, Leather, because I don't think you've ever heard it. I had cousins that were big Kiss fans. I was a fag. I ain't gonna lie. I was definitely Madonna and Corey Hart and I was. Give me my sunglasses.
Good songs. It's okay. They're good songs.
They're good songs, but I was I was 15 years old, and it was like, well, if the women like it, then I'm going to listen to it. So that's, and that's what I did. I was, my early collection was full of the Romantics, and
God, I love
Corey Hart and Prince and whatnot. And I had these cousins that were big Kiss fans, and we would go and visit them about once every month or two. And when we would go visit them, they would always play me whatever the Kiss record was, Unmasked or Dynasty or whatever in that era. And I hated it. To this day, I'm not a Kiss fan. I find them to be cheeseball. But at one point, I was at my cousin's house, and he was like, you got to hear this band. And I'm thinking, oh boy, it's gonna be some more of this Kiss garbage. And it was Heaven and Hell. It was the album Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
And I immediately switched from Madonna and the Romantics and whatever to Black Sabbath. I was like, boom, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I went backwards from there in Black Sabbath and was not all that. I mean, I love Black Sabbath, but I wasn't as overwhelmed with any of the Ozzy stuff as I was with Ronnie. And then, of course, we went through the years. He had the second album with Sabbath, and then he went and did his own thing, which Holy Diver and Last in Line. You can't touch those records for they're as good as they get. And my biggest rock star moment of all time was meeting Ronnie, and he was so nice to me, even though I had totally shit on him in a review. It was awful. I for Angry Machines was when I first interviewed him and met him, and I had killed the record. A
lot of people did, yeah.
But I get on the phone with him, and he reads it back to me, and he goes, "Are you the guy that wrote?" And blah 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 blah. And I was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna hang up on me," and I was gonna be devastated because he's only like the third interview I'd ever done in my life, and he got done with that, and then he spent like 45 minutes just saying, well, maybe he didn't understand what I was going for here. And he explained it to me, and I still don't like the record, but it was cool of him not to be pissed. And from there, he invited me out to the show. I went to the show. I got to meet him and hang out with him. And one of the things that I've always talked about with him was that, I would run into him, every 2 or 3 years when he would come on tour. I would always go to shows, and I would, I'd get passes or whatever and meet him. He always remembered my name, which I just found to be fascinating. The guy meets literally a million people a year. Yes. And he would come through town, and he'd be like, "Oh, Chris, how are you, man? How you been?" I was like, "Dude, how do you remember my name?"
Yeah. He did that with everybody. He really did. Yeah.
Yeah. He just an original guy, but that voice,
please, voice, motherfucker.
There's a reason that he could transition from all these different bands, whether it was Rainbow or Dio or Sabbath or Elf or whatever.
Yeah.
That voice was it's there. There's so few guys that have. I don't care who you pick. There's so few guys that have a voice like that really transcends the style they play. I honestly believe that if Dio wanted to put out an album of Journey covers, it would have been the best goddamn Journey album of all time, because
I know. It's just there's a certain timbre and warmth to him, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I was turned down to him very late too when I first started singing metal in 83, I think, and they turned me on to him, and then I went to a show with my band at the time and ended up on his tour bus with my little cassette tape, right. And he put it in, and all of a sudden there was my voice, and he was like, "Who is this?" And that's how I met him. And
wow,
he just started talking to me about stuff. I mean, oh yeah, and I was just like, whoa, like I saw the aura, And actually, the song on Shockwaves is called "Something in This Life" is about him, because I looked at him. I was so tongue-tied, and I said, "Do you understand what you do? I mean, do you understand how incredible, how magic, however stupid I said when I was a little kid?" And he said to me, "Keep singing. It's something that you will acquire. It's about growing. You will find it." And so that was my whole thing about Something in This Life. But yeah, I miss him dearly.
Yeah, I'm with
cool guy.
What about you, Neeley? You've met him. You met him several times.
Yeah,
as well.
I have, and I've interviewed him. I met him. He was very cool. I got probably one of my favorite pictures of all time of him and I backstage, and he's holding up one of the Classic Metal Show shirts.
Oh,
in
cool.
front of him. And it was a very cool thing. And he was just very kind and just easygoing, and he wasn't in a hurry. And it's just like, yeah, hey, nice to meet you. Good, next on to the next guy. He actually stood there and had a conversation with me for like 4 or 5 minutes.
I actually just put a quote that it was somewhere that he had said. I just put it on Instagram last week, that he said that we need to remember when we meet people. He said, "I will meet millions of people. This is the first and probably only time for them. So be considerate." And I was like, holy shit, how perfect is that? Yeah.
And he was clearly a guy that did not need to be that. I mean, he could have taken the route of the Vince Neils of the world that can't be bothered with people, but instead he took the route of, he was always the guy that even if you hung out and yelled his name at the bus, he would walk over to the fence and shake your hand and let you have that 3 seconds of time, just because that's who he was.
I also have really good memories of him, because then I would go to his shows all the time in the 90s when I wasn't even doing music. And my boyfriend at the time, we would be backstage, and Ronnie would just be freaking lighting him up with this guy. And then he would just go on stage and wail. I'm like, how the fuck do you do that, man? Anyway, that's my number one. Yeah. And yours.
Nice. And mine as well. I'll go with number 2. Number 2 for me is the guy that we just talked about as well, Halford. I'm a huge Halford fan. Judas Priest. My 3 favorite bands of all time are Metallica, Pantera, and then Priest right there. So I'm a big Halford guy. Another voice that kind of transcended as well. He proved it.
Oh yeah.
He proved it himself by doing different things. And I'll admit, I didn't like the 2 record, that industrial thing that he did. It was kind of, outside of what he could do, but he did it well. I mean, if you were into like 9 Inch Nails and Prick and Marilyn Manson and that stuff at that time, it fit. It just was.
And also, I think the thing is, vocalists stick out. You would always know it's Halford, always know it's Dio.
Yeah.
And a lot of these bands that I adore, the Killswitch Engage, and like I said, Pop Evil, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I would always know it was them.
Right. No, you're right.
You would always know it's Halford. Always know it's Halford. Yeah.
Yeah. And for better or for worse, and I'll say for worse, because I think Nostradamus is one of the worst records of all time. But for better or for worse, I'll give the guy credit for always challenging himself. He's a guy that does not need to take any chances. He could make Judas Priest records that just sound like Judas Priest, and people would buy him and people would respect them and no one would shit on him. And he hasn't. He went a totally heavier direction with Fight. He took the industrial direction with 2. He really stretched out with the opera thing with Nostradamus. I mean, he's ballsy enough to take the chance and roll.
Yes. He is, and you're right. He does challenge himself. I think. Well, you guys know my top three. I mean, 2 for me is Bruce. I mean, fuck me, Dickinson. The more I listen to him lately, the more I realize how much I copied from him. Yeah, Dickinson for sure. And again, that little man, talk about running around stage like a motherfucker. Never stops, hopping, jumping.
Yeah, and he beat face cancer of the mouth. It still sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean,
did I ever see him? Yeah, I think I saw Iron Maiden a long, long time ago. I think I've only seen him once or twice. That was Eddie, right? Yeah, back in the day, I saw them.
Yeah. No, but Dickinson definitely a powerhouse as far as a vocalist and
clean singer, clean, but it's cool. Yeah.
How about you, Niels?
Well, no, she kind of stole my thunder there. Dickinson was my second choice, and the reason being is that here we are 40 years deep into Iron Maiden featuring Bruce Dickinson on lead vocal, and as Leather mentioned there, he hasn't slowed down one step, and he still sounds as good today as he did 35, 40 years ago. And the guy's amazing. I mean, and did you ever notice one of the common threads here among these monster vocalists is they're typically all little guys. Dio was a little guy. Bruce Dickinson, not such a big guy,
Well, Halford's a big guy, though, right? Isn't Halford?
Yeah, Halford's a big, he's a bigger guy. But some of the ones with the most powerful vocals are just these little guys. And
tiny people. Us tiny people.
Yeah, Dickinson just full of energy, still brings it, still can do an arena show. And the one thing that I admire about Iron Maiden is that they are not a mainstream, quote unquote, commercial radio band. They may have had 1 or 2 commercial radio hits, Run to the Hills, something like that. But they never fail to sell out an arena here in the States, and with little advertising and little radio.
Yeah. I just followed them in Brazil, and it was, they would advertise 2 days prior, and it was, 30,000 people. Okay, thank you. I mean, pretty jealous of that.
You know what else you got to give Dickinson credit for, and it's something Halford won't even do, is Dickinson will play music from his band that is not his. He obviously has to play some of the Di'Anno songs.
Oh, yeah.
In the current tour, he's playing 2 Blaze songs. In the current
really?
He's playing Sign of the Cross and the Klansman. And I mean, he's a big enough name in the Iron Maiden legacy that he doesn't have to do that. I mean, he still has to play a couple of the Di'Anno tunes. I mean, those are standards. Let's face it, if nobody ever heard a Blaze Bayley Iron Maiden song again, I don't think you'd get any people complaining either. But he does.
That's cool.
He's willing to. He
passes it around.
Well, he's willing to adapt. I don't know if it's to his band or to the fans, to give the fans a full rounded set. And that's something that a lot of people, that's something Dio was willing to do as well. I mean, Dio certainly played a lot of Black Sabbath tunes.
That Ozzy did. Yeah, you're right.
That is kind of a common thread with those two, with Dio and with Dickinson. So
I love them both.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go old school for my number 3, because this is a little more rock than metal, although it's somewhat metalish, I guess. And Neeley, this won't surprise you, Leather. I'll be curious to hear your take on it. I just saw this guy in September, and for an old guy, this guy's unfucking believable. Glenn Hughes. What a voice.
What a voice. I actually just kind of discovered him and paid attention to him. I got to tell you, when I was in LA, sings like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like a motherfucker.
He's, and I mean, he's been through every substance abuse problem that there is to have. And even with that, he might have lost years on his life, but he didn't lose any years on his voice. His voice is as it was when he was in 1970, whatever, when he was in Deep Purple.
And I only paid attention to him recently because I was into all this Dio stuff, and I realized how close they were. So I was like, I got to check out his stuff. Yeah, he's incredible. Incredible. Definitely a rock voice, but he's incredible. isn't he 70?
He's like in his 70s now at this point.
Are we gonna live that long? Oh my God.
Well, the thing that's odd with that is, as old as he is, you know, he still sounds better than 9/10 of the kids that are out there.
Absolutely. That's what I love about that. Yeah, and I think everything is still in the same key. My number 3 is not of course. It's my buddy who I just actually saw after 100 years, Mr. Jeff Tate.
Okay.
He was in San Francisco, and he's a friend of my management, so I kind of went up. I mean, literally, I maybe met him in '88. Like we're talking about Dio. I walked into a club and I went to introduce myself. He's like, Leather, what the fuck? So there he is, drinking glasses and glasses of red wine. I'm like, dude, how can you do that and sing? He goes, how can I not? He went out there and did the acoustic set. Like, I was crying. Jet City Woman, literally, I was crying like a bitch.
Is that the acoustic thing he's doing where he's got the guy beating on the whatever that box thing is?
Yes.
I saw that. I saw a show of that tour. That amazing. He still sounds great. Incredible.
Yeah. I was like, can I come up and sing something? And they were like pulling me away.
Yeah.
Yes, Neil.
Go ahead, Neeley.
Well, I'm going to go in at number 3 of my good friend Don Dokken. One of the most melodic. One of the most melodic voices that caught my ear at a very young age. I was in just my first year of college when Breaking the Chains came out. I was working in a record store, and you know, for some reason that just resonated with me, and it stuck with me for a long time. And of course, they had a lot of monster hits, mostly through the 80s.
Yes, monster hits.
And you know. But my favorite record was something that they did in '94 during the height of the grunge era, was the Dysfunctional release. And that continues to be my favorite Dokken record today. And, you know, I count myself very lucky to be.
What's it called? Dysfunctional? I have to check it out.
Yep. It's a very deep record. It's got a lot of deep meaning. It's not about pussy and chicks and partying. It's more about life in general.
Oh, I don't know if I would understand it then.
Can I have that when you're done?
No, I have to check it out. That's a perfect way to put it. Such a melodic, warm, soothing voice he always had.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's my favorite. I mean, you know, he can do anything from the hard rock stuff to the melodic stuff to acoustic stuff, and adjust himself to fit, you know, any one of those formats. So, yeah, that is kind of...
Don Dokken. I would never think. Okay.
Well, I don't know that I would go with Dokken. He's up there. I mean, that he had his era, that era of time, that 83 to.
Oh my God, they couldn't stop writing the hits, right?
Yeah. Well,
did they write those songs? Did they write those songs, you guys?
Yeah, Don wrote all of them, and I mean, he's a great singer. He certainly was. But I'm gonna stay same era for my number 4. But I'll argue all day long. This is the best voice of the 80s. Period. And another one of these guys, you know, my running theme through all these guys are guys that could transcend any musical style. I'm going to go with Sebastian Bach.
Oh, my God. I forgot about Seb, my buddy. What a motherfucker. What a voice.
That's Mother Truck.
Oh. I used to go to his shows because when Chastain toured, of course, we never played arenas like him.
Sure.
But we were always behind Skid Row, Metallica. Quick story. I used to look at that drummer and go, motherfucker, I know him. And then we went to one of his shows.
Yeah.
Geez, I can't even think of what his name was. What's his
name?
Rob
Fuso.
And I went up to him and I'm like, dude, I am not hitting on you, but I know who you are. And he looked at me and he goes, motherfucking Kathy. Him and I used to train horses together in upstate New York before he became famous. But anyway, Sebastian, what a fuck. Unbelievable voice. Unbelievable voice. Does he still have it?
Yes.
Does he?
He's still, I mean, again, I haven't seen him in a while, but I mean, I see YouTube of him and whatnot, and he doesn't look like he did. I mean, he's definitely got an extra. He does, he's definitely got an extra 50 with him, but he vocally, he still sounds amazing. His records, even, you know, he's put out I think 3 records since 2007 that are you know, solo records.
Screaming, Kicking or something. Yeah.
Alive and Screaming or something like that, or Screaming.
Yeah.
And Angel Down is another one, and then there was another one that was just recently.
You are so right. I can't believe I forgot him. He's incredible.
and if you look at his career and you look at even the hits, you've got some of the hits that are kind of the gruffer voice, monkey business and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
But then he'll do an I Remember You or In a Darkened Room, something where it's just crystal clear voice and could go up and down, 4-octave voice. I mean, and what's interesting.
And as a woman, he was so fucking beautiful. He would just be like, yeah. I mean,
nice.
I used to see him, and he used to. Obviously, I've never been the hot chick, so he would see me run after me, tackle me, and wrestle. I'd be like, cool, okay, right.
Well, that's all right, because our friend Randy runs after him as well.
I feel horrible that I forgot about him, but my number 4, you guys, is I don't know if I think he's on the road, or I don't think he passed away. Ian Gillan.
Oh, yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah. Zero, the hero.
Sabbath, yeah. Yeah, Ian,
incredible rock and roll voice, incredible.
Ian, the only issue I would have with Ian is that he's a little bit one-dimensional as far as his sound, which is why I think Deep Purple has had so many valleys in their career, because he'll come. I mean, the first 5 or 6 Deep Purple records are just massive. I mean, nobody can argue that.
Yeah.
Massive. But then they drifted, then they drifted away to the point that then they got, Coverdale and Glenn Hughes sharing vocals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Then Deep Purple came back with Purple Rangers. They came back in a big way, and
I just love it. And you're right, but I understand what you're saying, but I'm one-dimensional, so I get, I do one thing.
Sure.
And you do one thing, but man, the quality of his fucking voice, and that's one of my favorite records of all time. Born Again. Oh my God, that record didn't do very well, did it? Probably.
No, it did terrible because of the production. The production on that sound.
I loved it. It was in the mud.
Oh come on, it sounds like it was recorded in a garbage can.
I loved it. I loved it. I love stuff out of the norm, and after coming from the '80s with the fucking everybody in the wind tunnel in the fucking oh God, I loved it. Neeley, enough for you. Who's the next one?
You know what? I'm going to go with a little bit, not necessarily a melodic voice, not necessarily a soothing voice, but a very recognizable voice, somebody that really put a stamp on hard rock and metal and maybe even punk, is Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead.
Bless you, Lemmy. Yeah. Guy couldn't sing to save his life, but boy, did I love him.
Well, he had the gravelly voice. He just belted out the tunes, and the thing that the guy never stopped. He never stopped. He was just a battalion, no matter.
It came from inside of him for sure.
Yeah, no matter what was popular at that time, regardless if it was pop or metal or whatever, he just was Motorhead, and I'll go with Lemmy.
Lemmy, that's a good one too. Again, it was just his passion and he was such a cool guy. Fuck, he's up there rocking with Ronnie right now. Number 5, do you start?
Go ahead, you can go.
I was late to this band too. I met him a long time ago, and I don't know if he was making fun of me. He might have been, because we were all really fucked up. He told me that I could really sing. Fucking Anselmo. I want to do a record with fucking Phil Anselmo.
Nice.
A song. I love him.
Well, he's the singer of my favorite band of all time, and he's become a friend, and he's actually endorsed my book and everything else. So
really?
I love.
Oh God.
I'm a big fan.
I just want to meet him. I want him to sing fucking Cemetery Gates in my ear. Oh God. Love. Yeah.
And what's crazy about him is another guy that he doesn't use it anymore, but he had one of the all-time great high-end voices as well.
Yes, I just discovered that. The first Pantera records were very clean voice and melodic, weren't they?
Though, yeah, the one, and especially the one right before Cowboys from Hell, the one that they self-produced, that sounds like a Judas Priest record. It doesn't sound anything like what Pantera really got known for, but Phil could sing. And even if you listen to some of the songs on Cowboys from Hell, he does a lot more of that high vocal mixed in with the growling, and then he gave up on it after, But yeah, he could. I agree. He could sing.
Fuck, I would like to see him. He was just in San Francisco, I think, with Down, but I had to miss him. Oh, I just want to be in front of that Nazi-looking mean ass, because I know he's not like that. He's a love muffin, isn't he? But you look at him, and you're like motherfucker, you know.
Yeah, he's you know what he is, and I'll put James Hetfield in the same category in this one way, not as the vocalists, but him and Phil, they command a stage like very few. Phil has a way of being regular guy, but also being larger than life at the exact same time on the stage. It's a unique quality with him.
Yeah, I've never seen him, but you're right about Hetfield. Hetfield is just like, I actually just saw him shopping at Macy's. It cracks me up. I'm like, you weren't supposed to be shopping at Macy's. You're a rock star, you know?
Well, he's just a star at this point. All those Metallica guys, they're just stars.
Totally. But yeah, I would really like to see him.
You've never seen Anselmo sing? Like with Pantera, nothing?
I was late to the game, man. Oh. I got into them when, unfortunately, Dime got shot in Ohio, right? In Annie's. Yeah. No, that club I used to play at. That's when I got to know El Rosa.
El Rosa,
That's
yeah.
How I got to know. Oh my God, those riffs, motherfucker! No, I missed it.
Yeah, well, he's Dime's another. If we were talking guitar players, that'd be my number.
Oh yeah.
You know, what about you, Neeley, for singers?
I'm going to go with a little more gruff, somebody who really brings the metal, who, as far as the harder stuff goes, probably one of my all-time favorite bands in the really heavier metal, the more thrash, is Chuck Billy of Testament.
Oh, yes.
Good one.
So, he has the growl. He's got a little bit of melodic, quality to his voice, but he just brings it. I mean, it's just like he's the monster in the mix. And, as far as hard rock metal bands go, definitely Testament is at the top of my list.
Sure.
Yeah, another great one. Yes.
Well, I can't believe nobody brought this guy up until this point. And again, I'm sticking with my is transitional enough. This guy's so transitional that he's had 2 20-year careers of different sounding music.
I know who it is.
It's Robert Plant. It's got to be Robert Plant. I mean,
Robert Plant blew my mind as a little kid. Yeah.
Led Zeppelin has one sound. Robert Plant solo has a completely different sound.
Yeah.
Both are tremendous. Both, obviously the songwriting skill was there all along, which made the second career work, but But he was able to completely change his sound, his style, everything, and still be great. Not just good, but those first couple of albums, Big Log and In the Mood and the Honey Drippers and all that stuff it's all fantastic.
Yeah, when I was in 10th grade, somebody left, and I still to this day don't know. They left Houses of the Holy, the album back in those days, on my mailbox. And I fucking flipped out. Yeah, Robert Plant, you're right.
Yeah.
No Quarter, one of my favorite songs in the world ever. No Quarter.
Robert is amazing, definitely. Well, if we had to listen to just the bands that we've listed here, it'd be a good day.
It would be. But I thought I was also thinking Corey Taylor, Stone Sour, and Slipknot.
You know what? I'm a huge fan of both of those bands. I know Neeley doesn't know anything about either band, but I am the song "Silly World" is maybe my favorite modern metal song of all time. Yeah. And the whole "Come Whatever May" album is just start to finish.
Again, I was late to the game. I just discovered Slipknot, and I have the conversation with my boys from Brazil all the time.
Sure.
They're telling me that Corey Taylor can't sing. He's all produced in the studio. Crazy. I'm like, what? But they listen to Kiss, dude. My band listens to Kiss.
Yeah. Yeah, Kiss. And you notice nobody mentioned Paul Stanley in this best of this.
They listen to Kiss. I'm like on the bus and stuff going, oh my God, I can't listen to this anymore. But I think Corey Taylor is a fucking phenomenal singer. Also, what does he call himself? MC Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold. Not a fan of the music. He sings his fucking ass off.
Well, he's got that whole Iron Maiden influence to his voice.
I mean, he never stops. He never shuts up. He sings for 3 solid minutes,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
That was great.
I'm with you. I like that guy's voice, and I like the guitar sound of that band. It's weird because all the elements of that band are good, and I don't like them. You know,
I don't like the songs.
It doesn't make. It's like the songwriting stinks for some reason.
Well, it's too intricate. Yeah, just like a Hellstorm. Love her voice, don't like the material. Love her motherfucking voice.
Now we're gonna fight. Now we're gonna have to fight because.
I want her to be more metal. I want her to be incredible voice. Incredible voice. Yeah.
She's still on the docket to be my next ex-wife. I did.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Remember when I was supposed to go meet her years and years ago, and then she canceled the show, and you said you were proposing to her.
I did. I got down on one knee and proposed to her in Columbus, just joking around, obviously, but obviously. I did.
Did you make her day? Did she laugh?
Oh, she laughed. It was we were all in a press tent at one of the Rock on the Range shows. Uh-huh. And all of my friends were actually interviewing Steel Panther, and they were all immersed in Steel Panther. And I was just kind of standing around, you know, because like all the mics were taken, really. And
yeah.
Who comes walking in but Lizzy Hale. And I walked right up to her and I just grabbed her hand and dropped to one knee. It was like, I just got to ask you, you know, if you'd ever consider a fat guy to be your next husband. And she looked at me and she didn't say no. She's like, well, I'll consider it.
Yeah, I hear she's a really nice chick. Yeah,
she's nice. Yeah. She's definitely nice. And I agree with you. I wish she would get a little more metal. It seems like she's following the Volbeat path of starting out real.
Incredible voice, though. Motherfucker, what a voice. She can do, talk about trends.
Oh, yeah.
She can do anything, right? To country, to fucking rock. Yeah.
She's you know, it seems like there's a lot of quote unquote female singers coming out of the woodwork these days. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of good ones. You know, and I know that's probably. I'm curious at what you think of that because I mean I listen to them all, and I am a sucker for a female voice. I really am. But I'm in this.
First of all, let me make the statement that my opinion to everyone listening means nothing. But I don't really. I just listen to what's on the radio.
Right.
I like Arch Enemy. I like her Cookie Monster. I love the ginger chick. Fucking love her. What's her name? Tatiana?
From what band?
Ginger?
I don't even know that band.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah, YouTube it. She's got a really. She does crazy harmonies when she sings clean, and then she's Cookie Monster. But no, I'm not a big. I shouldn't say big. I'm not a big fan of a lot of stuff that comes out. You know, I love Veronica. She's not making music right now.
Yeah, well, we all
my opinion doesn't matter.
We love Veronica. I just have a problem. You know, there's the push right now to stop calling it female vocals, and I get that. I get that it should just be.
Thank you.
There's the singer, but so many of these vocalists that don't want to be classified as a female vocalist come out and purposely push the female side of the vocal. You know, like one band that
Are you talking about? Yeah. Is that what you mean? You mean the sexuality of the image?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
And I mean,
I'm with you.
I'll point to one in very specific detail that I cannot listen to is In This Moment. You know, I can't take her theatrics. I can't take you know, when you name your hit song Whore, okay, it's hard to take you serious as a straight up vocalist because you're trying to portray what we're not supposed to notice.
And I understand what you're saying, but it's also a drag because if Dio came out with a song called Whore, it would be different, right? I know what you're saying. But we're just like the rappers, though. They're only portraying what their life is. I have a song, American Woman, on my record talking about being called a whore. I mean, I totally get what you're saying because I should have a penis, but and I get so many young women that come up to me and, oh my God, they're in these really great bands. And first of all, I said my suggestion shouldn't matter because I never made it, but keep your fucking clothes on. Ditch the bustier, put on a fucking t-shirt, you know.
Are you sending a message to Veronica? What are you doing?
I know, it's so interesting. I used to walk through the airport with her with all these guys, and I'd look at the guys, go, I know, and she would go, what the fuck? I'm like, look at you.
Yeah, she came out here about a year ago, I guess it was now, and we're working on some stuff outside of music, and her and I went to this bar restaurant that I like just for some lunch. And I mean, every dude that came through the door was doing the head stuck on her as they walked by, and the head completely turning while the body was, as she walked by. She definitely grabs.
You know, it's okay. You know what it is? It's okay if that's you.
Yeah.
I think that's Veronica. I would be hysterical if all of a sudden I showed up with my tits hanging out in a miniskirt. It's not me. It's really her. You know, the labels used to say to me, look, you aren't hot enough. Nobody wants to fuck you. I don't want anybody to fuck me. I want them to buy my records. So I think it's what you are. And you're right. I think people are being pushed. In this moment, I kind of like when I hear his stuff on the radio because it is really dramatic and stuff, but I don't like all the effects and all the raps and it's like a Vegas show. It's great, but it's, you know, I like stripped down. I'm an AC/DC chick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So as a man, it's hard for you to take a woman seriously when she plays the sex thing.
Yeah, that's exact. Now, you know, you mentioned Arch Enemy. I love Alyssa. Alyssa is an amazing singer, and I ain't gonna lie, she's amazing to look at as well. But you know,
but she doesn't. She covers her. She's pretty covered up, right? Yeah.
The thing that's amazing, and I think in her case, and I guess it's probably different from person to person.
Yeah.
Probably the same as chicks with like Sebastian Bach, like you were saying before. If they don't push it,
right?
Like you know, part of the appeal to an arch enemy is you see this gorgeous chick, this gorgeous woman on stage, and all of a sudden she's like, "Whoa!" It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
Where did that come from? You know, and it's like, wow, there's an appeal to that.
Yeah. And she's just a dude. I used to say that back in the Chastain days because again, everything was so much was thrown on my looks that I wasn't Jesus. Remember that was the Dora Leader 4 days. It's like, why can't I just be a fucking Hetfield with jeans and sneakers? But you know, but even Sebastian got it. They wanted him to take his fucking shirt off, you know. But I just don't listen to a lot of female not for any reason. I just think of them as vocalists, but I don't, you know, really think about it that way. And most of them, when I was growing up, didn't have the power that I wanted. I looked to the Dios and the Halfords. I wanted that kind of power. I didn't want to be Girls' School, who I love. I didn't want to be Dora, who I wanted to be more. You know, I wanted to be death metal, like before death metal. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I get you.
Yeah.